For me, when I started embracing bipolar disorder, I was faced with feelings of guilt and anger. There's a part of me that wants to believe I don't have this issue, but when I feed into that, I lose control of my mental health. And when quarantine started, I did just that. I stopped taking my medication and I fell into a deep depression. I lost all of my motivation. I lost my ability to communicate. My sleep cycle was inverted. And it wasn't until I reached out to a friend and when they gently reminded me to start taking my medication again, and within a few days, my whole life began to turn around. I started exercising and meditating and creating artworks. I'm working on a mural at home now. And every day it gets a little bit easier, but it is a process that takes a lot of time and a lot of effort and persistence. And I have to give myself the grace of letting go of negative emotions and behaviors for alternatives that are healthier.
I was 21 years old. I was working at a deli at the time, and I had two thoughts, and the first was that I wanted to kill myself, and the second was I don't know why I would think that. That doesn't make any sense. So I talked to my boss. I told him I needed to leave immediately and go to the hospital, and he didn't understand what was going on, and I didn't really either at that time. So I went to the emergency room, and I had actually been diagnosed 3 years prior but was in complete denial about it. That's what my mom had said, and I trusted her. When I checked into the hospital, I told them point blank, this is what's going on with me, I already know. And it's kind of a weird way to just radically accept my issue, and I'm glad that I did. So mental illness has always been a part of my life. My mom is mentally ill. I've always been mentally ill, even though it's not something that we ever talked about as a family or could recognize. I remember being 11 years old. I saved up a whole bunch of money and bought my own laptop, and one of the first things I looked into was bipolar disorder. And I showed my mom this WebMD page, and I was like, look, I have everything on here. She was like, there's no way, you're not sick, there's nothing wrong with you. And so for a long time, I would say at least 10 years, everyone in my family was in complete denial about it, at least for my case. When it came to my mom, it was a different story. I have found rock bottom a couple times, and to climb up even a little bit and to be able to look back down, that is tremendous to me, and I'm so proud of myself for doing that. And I know that I'm not the only one who's been there, even though that looks different for everybody. Also, keeping things to myself and trying to keep things under wraps, whatever that is, has never led me anywhere good. So I had to speak up for myself, when I was working at the deli, and go to the hospital, because if not, I could be dead right now. So it's too bad that it has to get to that point for a lot of people, but it doesn't have to be that way. And if I could help anybody, find the right resources, walk away and not commit suicide and find their happiness, that is worth, its weight in gold. I would do everything I've been through all over again if I can help someone else. Because it's a hard thing, and it doesn't have to be that way. I'm proud of myself, but I also want to cry. It's just a lot to go through, and I'm really happy to be here, because I have been thinking about this interview for months, and what could go wrong, what if I don't get a job because of this, or all the what ifs. But at the end of the day, like, I have to live with myself and I have to be happy with the decisions I make, and this is something I care deeply about because it's affected a lot of people in my family and it's affected myself, and if I can help anybody, that's worth it, even if I lose in the short game, you know? So, I'm happy to be here even though I'm crying. It feels really good.